Yeah.
I call the Honourable Member Katrina Shaggs. Tēnā koe.
Tēnā koe. I'd like to acknowledge firstly the presence of the Ngati Makino people who are in the House today. And in particular, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the very youthful face which is sitting in the front up there in the gallery. Because she doesn't know it now, she doesn't know how important this is, but she is here to tell the history of today. Today, in 80 years' time, she will be the only one who will be able to go into the marae and tell the story of when this treaty was signed. And she doesn't realise it, but she will be the one passing on these stories from generation to generation, keeping these stories alive for my children and my children's children. Mr. Speaker, I'd also like to acknowledge those who came on this journey, who some might say have been a fight, but we call it a journey, who are no longer with us today to witness today, who have worked very hard behind the scenes for years and generations for today to actually happen. And I don't like bringing politics into these debates, because I think these debates are about the treaties and the settlements. But I can't let the Green members' comments lie, because I truly believe in the process that we've got now. I truly believe in Minister Finlayson and Turia, and the work that they have done has been good work. You have waited 20 years to get to this moment today, and I don't believe what the Green member was saying was true, and I would hate to think that she could hold up treaty settlements going forward, because we've got a robust process which is working swiftly. So I'd like to acknowledge the ministers and the work they have done today, so we've been allowed to come here and settle this bill. And I would also like to thank the Trust for all the work they have done, the true leadership they have shown, the journey they've taken their people on as well, because that takes time and commitment and belief that you can make a true difference. So thank you for your work. But most of all, I'd like to thank the Ngati Makino people for their graciousness in allowing the Crown to apologise and to remedy some of the wrongs that have been done in the past. And there have been true wrongs in this case. We've heard stories in this House about some of those wrongs, how rights and properties were removed, how land was confiscated, and how you were virtually landless at some stage, where you had 0.6% of blocks remained in iwi ownership. And that is wrong. But it does show you one thing. It does show you the resilience of the Ngati Makino people, and a resilience which was built up over generations, and I acknowledge that today. But settlement bills are actually about the future. They're about what we can do moving forward. And I'd just like to acknowledge some of the parts of the settlement. The trustees of land are to be provided with certain rights and consultations with New Zealand Conservation Authority. You are getting other rights in relation to Lake Rotama Scenic Preserve. The bill makes statutory acknowledgements and provisions for vesting and fee in Ngati Makino of cultural redress properties. And this one is the one I like the most. It's the most fitting component of settlement process. It's the transfer of Otumakau School to trustees. But what I like most about this transfer is the motto of the school, a view to the future. And I can't think of anything that talks about this settlement anymore, the process, than with having a view to the future. And I know this will truly make a difference to the future of your people. It'll give you tools to restore mana and identity. It'll give you something for your culture to talk about and to be able to have ownership of. Treaty settlements are about the future generations. Lewissa talked about relationships not being about grievances.
Must use the member's full name.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker. They must not be about grievances with the Crown, but how the Crown and iwi can help each other to progress New Zealand and our country. And I think this is a great beginning. I do believe history has been made today, and it is my pleasure to be here. In fact, I talked to my children this morning and said I was coming to talk about treaty settlements, and they looked at me not really understanding what I was talking about. So I talked about some of the history and some of the stories that we tell and we hear going through this process, especially when we go out as a select committee onto the marae and listen to the stories and hear the discussions. And they still looked at me slightly blankly. But I have started that story with my children. They will start that story with theirs. So it's my pleasure and an honour to be here to speak on this bill today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I call the honourable member Reno Tera